point, all I need to do is one. The minimum is one. That's called hova'ah. Or halacha or hova'ah. Either one is sufficient. You don't need halacha v'hava'ah. You need either one stroke or two strokes as long as you finished it. What does the shochet have to make sure he does? He has to make sure he does, that there are 5 things he has to make sure. Number 1 is called shihiyah, hesitation. There can be no hesitation in the shechita. Once you've started cutting, okay, you have to make sure that you don't stop until you've finished, as I said, the majority of the wood pipe or the majority of the food pipe. You can't stop. In other words, if I started cutting, and theoretically I went through a quarter of the windpipe, and then I went like that, and I stopped for a second, and then continued, it would be an avela. It would be a dead animal which was killed not kosher. So you must make sure when you start shechting, you finish you have to finish the windpipe or the food pipe or both. That's called shia, hesitation. Shia, there's a lot of ramifications for that, and it's a very, very easy thing to transgress. Because if you start like that, and the chicken jumps, that's already a question in shia, of hesitation, because you don't know. There's halachas of that. We know those things, but I'm just saying it's something which can happen. You start shechting, or you start shechting, for example, and somebody hits your elbow. And in a factory, that happens. Or you're starting to shech and you sneeze. You start to check and he jumps. These things happen. So those are questions which happen in halacha of hesitation. Okay? So you have to make sure that doesn't happen. Number 2, there's something called drasa. Drasa means you're not allowed to press. Now, you could say, what do you mean press? You can't go like this. You can't, it's not an axe. You can't shecht it like that. You have to shecht with motion. Now, what would be considered dressing? It would be if you, let's say, place the knife down, and it's very, very thin. The skin is skin. The skin is thin. The windpipe, the food pipe is very, very thin. Press it, touch it down, and press. And they cut. It's a nevela deraisa, because it has to be shechita. Shechita means, shechita means cutting with a cutting motion, and not like an axe. So drasa means you press, and that's pasul, deraisa. Then there's something which is called chalada. Chalada is also the third one which you're not allowed to do. Let's say you're shechting, and a cloth falls over. You're shechting and something falls over and you can't see as you're shechting. That's a nevela deraisa. It's also a nevela. You must be able to see what you're shechting. Okay? Let's say you started to shecht and something covered it. Let's say it's a chicken with huge feathers, which happens. That's also a pasul deraisa. Okay? That's called chalada. The word chalada is from the word a mole, like a rat. It's always going into its tunnel. Then you've got hagrama. Hagrama means that you shechted, but you shechted above the place where it's kosher. You're allowed to shecht until the vocal cords. Above the vocal cords, even though it's considered the neck, it's pasul. So if you shechted above the vocal cord or below the esophagus, it's pasul. Then there's the last one is called ikar. Let's say you started to shecht. At the moment and this happens a lot by very, very big birds. Huge birds are very powerful. And if they feel that they're going to be shechted, they're literally able to swallow, they can detach from their they can detach their vocal cords and swallow it literally. Now, if a bird does that, these birds don't usually do that because they're not that powerful. But if you take a chicken and he's actually detached his vocal cords from where it's connected to his jaw, and you still shechted in the correct place, that's called ikar, which means it's uprooted and it's a pasul shechita.
How would you know if it is?
You would know that because once you've shechted, there's something which is called, what's that? Exactly. You do shechita, and then you do atkufa sagudo. You stick your thumb in, and you try to get the windpipe to pop out, to show it that it's what do you call it? That it's been shechted. Now, after you've done that, it goes back in, usually. It doesn't have to, but it usually does. If you've shechted and you do a tkufas agudel, you put your finger in it, and it doesn't go back in, it usually means the chicken has detached his vocal cords from his jaw, and you've got a problem. These are things you learn as you become shechita. What else did I want to tell you guys about? If you have a chicken, and this happens to the best people in the world, it doesn't have anything to do with you, me, or anybody. If you have a shechita and you shechted it and it's not kosher, which happens, and it could happen today, you must check your knife in the middle. Okay? You have to check your knife. You have to wash it off and check it again. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay. Now what we're going to be doing today is like this. In a minute, we're going to make the blessing on the shechita. We're going to start the shechita. Once we do the shechita, it's going to be like this. We'll make the blessing on the chicken. We'll hopefully shecht it kosher. We're going to put the chicken over here. It's going to bleed. I spoke with Byron about this. The question I asked Byron was, what does he think is the best thing as far as kids go? Should any kid be allowed to watch the shechita or not the bleeding? And I guess Byron thought, I don't have an opinion on this. Any kid who feels